Stride Audio Show.
Presented by Speak English with Us.
Quick question when someone says, "How was your day?" Do you answer with one safe word and then instantly regret it?
Yeah, and then your brain opens 20 tabs, but the answer still comes out like plain toast.
That's the problem today. You understand everything, but your reply lands flat and the chat loses its spark.
We've all been there. At a cafe, at lunch, at a party, smiling like we've got something brilliant and then saying, "Yes, interesting."
This is a B1 level episode, perfect for intermediate learners. Beginners, you are welcome too.
And if you're listening with your coffee, I'm guessing you've already had one of those tiny social moments today.
We're talking about how to sound fun, sharp, and natural in English. Not by memorizing giant speeches, but by stretching one simple comment into something real.
And there's one thing we found. The best replies don't start bigger, they start closer.
Before we go further, quick choice, A or B. Do you freeze more in small talk or in work chat?
Just pick one in your head, no test, no pressure. Your answer already tells you a lot.
The trick is called expansion by association. It sounds fancy, but it's really just notice one detail. Attach one image, then add one small opinion.
So instead of "it was good," you might say "it was good." Busy, but in a good way. That already feels more human.
Exactly. And that little shift can help you tell tiny stories, make jokes, and sound less like you're translating in real time.
Which honestly is a huge relief. Because yes, nice, agree can make you sound like a polite printer.
Stay until the end for our Word Tour 5 expressions you'll hear in real conversations, and they'll help you sound way more natural.
And later, we'll give you one tiny trick you can use right after this episode. But first, let's show you why simple replies break down.
You probably know the feeling. Someone says something light, funny, or a little unexpected, and your mind does have a response, just not a good route out.
So you stand there, looking calm on the outside, while inside your thoughts are sprinting like they're late for a train.
That gap is exactly what we're fixing today.
Okay, so I have to tell you about a lunch I had a few weeks ago. A colleague said, "I finally watched that movie everyone's been talking about." And I had thoughts, real thoughts. I'd seen it too.
Oh no, I already know where this is going.
My brain was like, say something clever, say something fun. And what came out was, "Oh yeah, it's good."
It's good. 3 words, the conversation just stopped.
And the worst part, I had an actual opinion. I wanted to say the ending felt rushed, and the soundtrack hit the spot in a weird, unexpected way, but none of that made it out.
That freeze moment is so real. Your thoughts are there, but they're stuck behind a wall, and you just stand there, smiling.
Exactly. And it's not a vocabulary problem. I knew the words. It's more like the path from thought to sentence just collapses under pressure.
There's actually a name for this in language learning. It's called formulaic language. The idea that fluent speakers don't build sentences word by word. They pull out ready-made chunks. And when you don't have those chunks loaded, you freeze.
So it's not that I'm bad at English. It's that I haven't built enough of those automatic routes yet.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of today. We're not adding vocabulary. We're building routes.
Okay, so back to the lunch story. What should I have said?
Well, let's try it. You be your colleague. Say the line again.
I finally watched that movie everyone's been talking about.
Okay, stop. So your first instinct was, it's good, right? That's your base reaction. That's fine. It's honest. But now, give it a twist. Add one detail that actually stuck with you.
The soundtrack? It was kind of haunting. Kept playing in my head after.
Perfect. So now you say, Yeah, it's good. The soundtrack really hit the spot for me. I kept humming it on the way home.
Oh, that's actually not hard. That's just one extra sentence.
That's the whole method. One reaction, one detail, one small personal note. You don't need to play it up into a big speech. Just stretch it a little.
I've been making this so much harder than it needs to be. I thought sounding natural meant saying something brilliant.
Nope. It means sounding like a person, not a search result.
Okay, that one hurt a little, but fair.
And here's the thing, most people in casual conversation are in the same boat. They're not performing. They're just sharing small reactions, small details, small opinions. That's what keeps a chat alive.
So the pressure I feel to say something impressive is kind of invented.
Mostly yes. The bar in real conversation is much lower than we think. People don't want a TED Talk. They want to feel like you're actually there with them.
That's a relief, honestly, because I've definitely been sweating over replies that didn't need that much energy.
And that sweating, that visible, almost physical tension when you're searching for words, that's what shuts the conversation down faster than a bad answer ever would.
So I'm literally making it worse by trying too hard. Great. Very helpful, brain.
The fix is to keep it light. Don't aim for perfect, aim for present. One real detail beats 5 polished sentences every time.
So the goal isn't to impress, it's to connect.
Exactly. And the moment you stop trying to perform and start trying to share, the words actually come easier.
I want to try the role play again. But this time, let me try to give it a twist properly.
Go for it. Same scenario, your colleague just said they watched the movie.
Oh yeah, I thought the ending felt a bit rushed, but the soundtrack really hit the spot. I was humming it for days.
Yes, that's it. That's the whole thing. You noticed a detail, you added a small image, and you kept it light. That's a real reply.
And it didn't feel like I was performing. It felt like I was just talking.
And by the way, there's a phrase for that natural stretch we just did. It's called give it a twist. We'll break it down properly in the word tour later. So here's the big question. If you make every reply bigger, does your English actually sound better or just more crowded?
I think it sounds better. Short replies are safe, but they're also flat. If you want people to keep talking, you need to add shape.
Shape, yes. But not every situation wants a mini story. Sometimes a clean, simple answer is the smartest move.
But simple can turn into boring fast. If someone says, I'm tired, and you only say, same, that's the end of the road.
Not always. Sometimes same is enough because it says, I see you. The point isn't to perform, it's to connect.
Okay, but connection can still be richer. If I say, same, my brain feels like it's been run over by a bus, now there's a picture.
Sure, and that picture can be funny. But if you do that every time, you can sound like you're trying too hard to play it up.
Wait, that's a stretch. I'm not saying every reply needs fireworks. I'm saying a little expansion helps you sound alive.
And I'm saying too much expansion can bury the point. If the moment is small, keep it small. If you add too much, you lose the original tone.
But what if the original tone is already too thin, like, it was fine, doesn't give the other person anything to hold on to?
Then add 1 detail, not 10. That's the method. 1 detail, 1 image, 1 tiny opinion. That's enough to make it human.
So you're not the idea. You're just against turning every chat into a performance.
Exactly. And that's where most learners get stuck. They think the choice is between silence and a perfect paragraph. It isn't.
Yeah, my inner editor loves that fake choice. It acts like every sentence has to wear a suit.
Perfect image. And maybe that's the problem. If every comment gets dressed up, the conversation starts looking stiff.
But a little polish can be useful. If I'm talking about a meal, saying it really hit the spot is more vivid than it was nice.
True. That phrase works because it's specific and natural, but the magic is that it's still short. It doesn't steal the whole conversation.
So maybe the real issue isn't length. Maybe it's intention. Are you adding something useful or just adding words because you feel nervous?
Yes, that's the heart of it. Nervousness makes people over-explain. They start reaching for extra words because they don't trust the first idea.
And then the reply gets heavier and heavier until it sounds like it needs a mortgage.
That is exactly why we're not doing that. We're teaching you to expand with purpose, not with panic.
Still, I want to push back a little more. If people are in the same boat as you said earlier, why not give them more to enjoy?
Because more can be noisy. In casual English, clarity usually wins. The best reply often feels effortless, not packed.
But effortless doesn't mean empty. If I say, I had a busy day and stop there, I sound polite but invisible. If I say, I had a busy day but in a good way, lots of little things and I felt productive, that's a real person speaking.
I agree. That version gives the listener a path. It has motion. It's not just a label. It's a tiny story.
And tiny stories are easier to remember than tiny labels. I can't argue with that.
Still, the story has to fit the moment. In a fast office chat or when someone's rushing to their next meeting, you may only need a clean line and a quick smile.
So you're saying the skill is choosing the size of the reply, not bigger every time, just better matched.
Exactly. And that's why we use give it a twist carefully. It's not make it dramatic. It's add one unexpected angle.
Like turning busy day into busy, but in a good way.
Yes. Or turning I'm okay into I'm okay. A little drained but still standing.
Okay, that one feels natural. It's still honest, but it gives the other person something to respond to.
And that response is what keeps the chat moving. You're not trying to win the conversation. You're trying to open a door.
Fine, I'll admit it. I sometimes sound like I'm writing a caption for a robot.
And now you're sounding more human already. That's the whole debate in one line.
So maybe the answer is don't inflate every reply, but don't leave it bare either. Add just enough to make the other person lean in.
Exactly. And if you can do that without stress, you'll sound natural, sharp, and easy to talk to.
And if it feels a little awkward at first, that's normal. New language always feels a bit strange before it feels smooth.
Which is why we're not done yet. In a second, we'll bridge into the word tour and pull out the 5 phrases hiding inside this whole conversation. So we've got the big idea now. One quick reaction, one detail, one small twist.
And that's how a plain reply starts sounding more human, more relaxed, and way more natural.
In a second, we'll pull out the exact phrases we used in the story.
5 of them, and each one can help you sound sharper without sounding forced.
Let's move into the word tour and unpack them one by one. Let's go back to that lunch scene for a second. The one where a simple reply could have turned into a real conversation.
Right, and the first phrase hiding in there was play it up. It means you make something sound bigger, stronger, or more dramatic than it really is.
Exactly. And that can be useful, but only when you want a little extra color. If you say, I was exhausted, that's plain. If you say, I was exhausted and I may have played it up a bit, that sounds more natural and self-aware.
So it's not lying. It's adding energy. Like saying, I didn't just have a busy day, I played it up for comic effect.
Yes, and you'll hear this when people tell stories to friends. They know they're being a little dramatic, but in a fun way.
And that connects nicely with the second phrase, hit the spot. This one is great for food, drinks, or anything that feels exactly right in the moment.
Right? If someone says, "That soup hit the spot," they mean it satisfied them perfectly. It's short, vivid, and very natural.
You can also use it for a break. That 5-minute walk really hit the spot. Nice, simple, and very human.
And notice how that phrase gives you more than good or nice. It gives the listener a feeling.
Which is exactly why people in conversation sound more alive when they use it.
The third one is in the same boat. This one's lovely because it creates instant connection.
It means you're dealing with the same problem or situation as someone else. So if your friend says, "I'm so behind on emails," you can say, "I'm in the same boat."
And that response does something really important. It doesn't just agree, it joins.
Yes, and it can make a chat feel less lonely. You're saying, "I get it, I'm there too."
Let's make it a bit more natural. You might say, "Everyone at work is overloaded. We're all in the same boat."
That's the phrase doing social work for you. It reduces distance fast.
Now, the fourth phrase is "give it a twist." This one is all about changing a basic idea just enough to make it more interesting.
So instead of repeating the same reply every time, you give it a twist and add a little surprise.
Exactly. If someone asks about your weekend and you say, "It was quiet," that's fine. But "it was quiet, but I gave it a twist with a last-minute dinner with friends" adds a mini story.
And it doesn't take much. One detail changes the whole tone.
That's the spirit of the whole episode, really. Not a giant speech, just a smart adjustment.
And finally, the phrase we kept using all along, "keep it light."
This one matters a lot in casual conversation. It means don't make everything heavy, dramatic, or intense.
If someone says, "I'm tired," you don't always need a deep lecture. You can keep it light with something like, "Same, my brain wants a nap already."
That's perfect because it's relaxed, funny, and easy to answer.
So when you keep it light, you make space for the other person to stay in the conversation without pressure.
And if we put the whole idea together, you notice you add one detail and you choose the tone on purpose.
Which means you don't need a huge vocabulary to sound natural. You need control, timing, and a few phrases that fit real life.
That's the best part. These aren't just useful expressions. They're little conversation tools.
And now they've got a place to live in your memory, not just on a list.
Try one in your next chat and see how quickly the conversation opens up. So today we learned something simple but powerful. You don't need a huge sentence to sound interesting.
Right. Start with a real reaction, add one detail, then give it a twist if the moment needs it. That's how short replies start sounding alive.
And the 5 phrases gave us real tools. Play it up. Hit the spot and the same boat. Give it a twist and keep it light.
Not a giant grammar mountain, just a few very useful shortcuts for real conversation.
If you want to practice, use this tiny rule today. When you answer someone, don't stop at the first safe word. Add one image. Add one feeling.
And if you're stuck, borrow a phrase from the word tour. Say, "I'm in the same boat," or "that really hit the spot," and keep going from there.
Another good habit is to listen for one detail in the other person's sentence, then build from that. That's how natural conversation actually works.
I still catch myself sounding like a robot sometimes, so I use a quick reset, short reaction, tiny story, small opinion. It saves me every time.
Mine is even simpler. I ask, what is the one thing I actually want to say that keeps me from overloading the answer?
And honestly, that's enough. You don't need to sound brilliant. You need to sound present.
Before you go, we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments which of today's 5 phrases feels easiest for you to use in a real conversation.
We read every single comment. Try one phrase this week in a chat, a message, or even a voice note. Then notice how the conversation changes.
Next time, we may go even deeper into natural responses, tiny stories, and how to sound less translated and more like yourself.
Until then, keep it light, stay curious, and trust that small words can still make a big impact.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.